Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. In this video, we're talking about family conflict resolution with love and limits. What do you think? Is it possible to resolve conflicts as a family with love, concern, boundaries, and limits? The answer is yes, it is. In this video, we're going to talk about why conflicts happen and what types of boundaries or limits we need to put in place so that we can also maintain love while we solve our problems together. For many years, I took in treatment children who did not know how to solve their problems. They would get angry and argue and pout and run away and whine, and they were miserable. Then they came to my house, we taught them the skills and principles of self-government, and everything changed for them. Suddenly, they had more goals and aspirations for their lives. Suddenly, their relationships were improved, and we were even able to transition many of them back to home with their families. This was powerful. So, what can we do to solve conflicts in a family so that we can have powerful communication that unites us together, like my foster children got to experience at my house, instead of having these knockdown, drag-out fights where everybody hates each other in the end? The other day, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was talking about the relationship he had with his brother when he was growing up. They had some conflicts when they were teens, and guess what? They never resolved them their entire lives. That's hard. Super hard to hear, because that meant that they carried bad feelings of being misunderstood and not cared for by a family member they hoped to have a good relationship for their entire lives, just about. We don't want that for our families. What we're doing in a family is creating a safe environment, an environment where everyone belongs, they connect, they bond, and they help each other solve problems. This means that the method of family problem solving is going to be instrumental in helping solve any of the other conflicts that happen later in life within the family. We have to establish healthy conflict resolution. What does that look like? Before we get to that, it's important for you to understand that there are two different ways to solve problems. You can try to emotionally solve your problem, or you can logically solve your problem. If you emotionally solve your problem, you're going to be living in the minute and probably be a bit impulsive. You might end up hurting feelings or getting hurt feelings because you'll be engaging in power struggles pretty often. But if you choose to use logical skills in order to solve your problems, then things will change for you. What does it look like if you are a logical problem solver? Well, that would look like you plan ahead of time for how to solve your problems, what skills to use, and then in the moment you deliberately stick to the plan. This helps you respect yourself and other people and helps them maintain respect for you too, because you actually have a format that you're following. When you engage in emotional problem solving, you don't usually follow a specific format. You just fall into habits, power struggle it out until someone gives up. That's not healthy, and it damages relationships. When a family plans ahead, they talk things out before they actually execute. The most effective style of communication is called metacommunication. Metacommunication means that you talk about what you're going to talk about before you talk about it. So what that means is that you plan ahead of time what the conversations will be like in the future. If you've done that, then as soon as a problem presents itself, you can just go right into autopilot. So how do we correct problems as a family? Well, we first have to establish the roles. Who is it that is ultimately in charge of the tone in the home? the parents. It is true that we want everyone to care about calmness and loving communication, but it's the parents that must maintain it. They have to set the example of that calmness and that good, effective communication, but they also have to correct the children if they are not using it. That's right, we don't practice emotional entitlement in a family if we are going to have really good communication occur. We set the plan and we stick to it, and that means we correct someone if they don't stick to the plan. This means we're teaching people skills of communication, like how to disagree appropriately, how to accept no answers, accept consequences, and follow instructions. Those 4 basic skills of self-government pave the way for the person to say okay, be okay, and properly communicate with other people about areas where they might disagree, and thereby preserve the relationships for the family. One way that we discuss as an entire family to pre-teach and make plans for the future is by having family meetings. In my course, my TSG parenting course, I talk about how to have effective family meetings. And I even have a family meeting journal that you can find at teachingselfgovernment.com to help you have good family meetings where everyone takes responsibility for creating a good environment for the family to plan together. If the family meetings do not work properly, then the family will see themselves as isolated from each other. In order for a family to solve the conflicts when they arise, we need to make sure that they're proactively preparing the relationships to be united no matter what. Now, I know there might be some people thinking, well, this is all great, Nicholeen, but this is all proactive stuff. And does that mean it's too late for me? If my family's a mess, if conflicts are happening, does that mean there's nothing that I can do? No, absolutely not. In fact, there are many things that you can still do. One thing that's super important is not to react yourself to the conflict. Don't get into the power struggle. One of the key things that you can do is describe instead of react. This is the first step of a really effective correction. When you describe what's going on in non-emotional, factual ways, and then describe why it's not good, what they should be doing instead, and move into a corrective teaching moment, then people get the opportunity to correct themselves. The whole idea of teaching self-government is that everybody will learn the skills that they need and then bring themselves into alignment so that they can have a united family and happy relationships. But if they don't, it is mom and dad's job to help get everybody back on track and to discuss what happened. Why did we end up not doing what we planned to do? There is a problem-solving exercise that I suggest for people struggling through conflict resolution. The problem-solving exercise is one that I teach in my TSG parenting course called the SODAS exercise. That's an acronym that stands for situation, options, disadvantages, advantages, solutions. When a person goes through a SODAS exercise, they're able to understand why they made the certain decision that they did and what other options there are for the future, as well as what the disadvantages and advantages are to each of those so that they can make a more informed decision. This helps a person not get emotional in the moment, but instead plan ahead of time for their communications and how they want their relationships to be. And probably one of the biggest things a family can do is make sure to proactively establish a family vision. If you haven't done it yet, it's never too late, and there is information about how to do it on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. Before we leave this video, I have a free gift for you. It's something that can help you with your calmness. If you understand calmness and your children understand calmness, then hopefully that can also make it so that you have less conflicts that you need to resolve in the first place. So I have a Calm Parenting Toolkit. It has 10 lessons for calmness. I highly recommend going to teachingselfgovernment.com. On the homepage, there's the Calm Parenting Toolkit, and just sign up for it for free today. I'll see you there.